Hello. So I've been feeling a bit restless the last maybe hour or so. And I was just sort of doing a few things to see if there was like a specific message or transmission topic that was going to come in. And honestly, I was sort of like all over the place. So yeah, I just wanted to push record and see what happens because I'm not even sure if I'm going to post this. Anyway, a few things. Also, I am going to head out of Florida, where I'm currently staying, in like 2 days. And where I'm going, I don't think I will have much internet access for a while. And I'm not sure how long that will be. It could be a couple weeks, it could be longer. I'm not sure how long I'm staying. Anyway, so I'm not sure what like posting for content is really going to be like. And it's funny because I've been sort of feeling like a redirection was coming with the way that I approach content, and I'm hoping that this experience gives me that sort of new direction, or at least something to add on to what I'm already doing, I should say, to expand. Yeah, this feels more like I want to say some sort of update, as well as like almost like I just heard in my head like a diary entry or like a journal entry, because I know that I'm certainly not the only person going through leaps and changes and into the unknown, so yeah, just if you're interested in that sort of topic, then yeah, maybe stick around, because like I said, I'm not even sure what is coming through, but I feel the urge to set the scene for some reason, and of the tinctures that I made, sometimes I like to make little just like cocktails out of them, or a play on that. And so I added two of the different types that I made in some sparkling water, and topped it with some lemon and blue lotus flower in a champagne glass. I don't know, I was just really in the mood to do that. So maybe someone here is also just feeling like they want to sit down and have like a really pretty beverage, or maybe you're already doing that. Yeah, and so over like the last like 2 years or so, in the most like unexpected ways, like, and from people I would never even think would know about this, I just kept getting a repeating message, I suppose, or just idea, seed planting of like creating some sort of, I don't know, like lifestyle sort of content. I guess people call it a vlog, like VLOG. Yeah, I'm like still learning about stuff, whatever. But and the place where I'm going, like I said, doesn't really have, that I know of, like access to Wi-Fi, and it's a few miles from Tulum in Mexico, so the closest town. Yeah, it's a few miles, so it's pretty secluded on a beach. And so I was like, oh, I guess I won't be like posting much because they don't really have electricity. So I got some a solar charger to see if that could help. And then a friend of mine who I met quite recently, actually, said she has like so many extra like old iPhones and digital cameras and just like battery pack chargers, which I honestly don't even know what that is. And I was like, great. So it's like some of the things that I've been wanting to start creating, like, you know, and like I said, I'm leaving in 2 days, and just right before I'm about to leave, she's like, oh, by the way, if you want some of the stuff, like, it's just sitting here and I'd rather someone be using it. And at first I was kind of resistant, like, no, like, thank you, I don't want to like take your stuff. And she was like, before you drop into that, like, oh no, it's okay, like, I'm offering this to you and I would like you to take it. So yeah, I guess I'm just sharing this because as someone who sometimes has a harder time maybe accepting things, maybe you're someone who also has that. It just is always, even though I've experienced this many, many times, I'm obviously still extremely grateful, and like I still like geek out a little bit on like how timing and synchronistic things just start to show up when you need them. If you really are like, you know, I don't even want to say committed to doing something, but like, even if you don't know how you're going to have the resources, or if you don't have like the funds at the moment or whatever it is. I don't know if you just heard that beep in the background. By the way, I do have a subliminal on, so you may hear that in the background. Yeah, it's like how things can just sort of come to you. And not just things, of course, but that's included. Physical things, information, you know, resources, etc. So yeah, my intention for this recording is just to find anyone who may need a reminder of like the magic in life that can happen, or maybe you're someone who's already experiencing this and you just also like to you know, listen to others that are also kind of forging their own unknown sort of pathway. And yeah, it's like the Hermit card in tarot and in the traditional Rider-Waite with like the lantern in the dark, you know. It's like one step at a time. And then also somehow still like the Hermit goes within for wisdom, and it's like still having that bigger picture or like bigger vision insight. And I feel like I talk about this often, so yeah. I had like things written down that I wanted to talk about. Some of the, like, I guess you can call it, there's many names, but like divine union templates have been like really being highlighted lately. So if you're someone who feels connected to that, whether it's, you know, coming into union with yourself, with any other spiritual hierarchies or angelic aspects, with the natural world, you know, it can continue to play in different aspects, but also with another externalized person. Yeah, and I was looking into some of the Keylontic science or the Ascension glossary that I often reference, some of the references there. And something that popped up that really caught my attention was two suns, S-U-N-S. So if I continue on with a Patreon overflow, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to yet. I'll probably dive deeper into that. And if I don't do that for this transmission, that is just something that I want to dive deeper into at some point. So if you're interested, feel free to comment and let me know. And I can like focus in on anything specific you'd like to know. But some of the headings that are highlighted on this are Cosmic Energy Cycle, Cosmic Melchizedek Sun Heralds, 5D Shift, which, you know, when it comes to like labels like 5D and shift, things like this, I guess you can say I don't necessarily like always subscribe to some of the more maybe mainstream interpretations of that, and I just wanted to highlight that. The Alasia Sun, the Thothian AI factions in Orion's belt, which is so crazy because Thoth and Orion have been coming up so much the last 2 weeks, and I had no idea that was going to be embedded in this. Also, love story of two suns, adjunct time vectors, universal particle grids, and ring of fire session. And then I was sort of in the sun the other day, just, I don't even remember what I was doing, to be honest. And, oh, you know what? I think I was doing like a movement sort of meditation type of practice, like a kind of, I call it flow key or flow chi, where I just let my body move in the way it needs to. And the sun was coming through the blinds, and I remember I just kept like feeling like I was being taken into like this, like anchoring in these, not just that I do this, of course a lot of us do this, but tuning into like the idea of anchoring in this next wave of divine union template. Like, again, I just feel like there's so much focus on this right now. The shadow aspects, the light aspects, and everything in between. So, what I had on just switched to a different sound in the background, so you may hear that. Let's see what came on. 411. It's funny, there's 311 and 411, both numbers on here, so those numbers can be significant. Yeah, 311. I just thought of the band 311, which I forgot. Amber is the color of your energy. For some reason that song's coming through, so that could be significant with the lyrics or something. And this one says manifest money and wealth subliminal. Oh, beta drone 15 hertz, so 15 hertz. Interesting. And the name Mumford. I've never realized. It's like I liked it before, so I must have listened to this before, but I don't remember this person's name. But yeah, Mumford and Sons could be relevant too. I don't know why that's coming through, but it is. Yeah, so I was talking about the Thothian information that's been coming through so much lately, as well as Orion, and I've been watching quite a bit about Orion mythos lately. And the numbers 144, which I believe I was speaking on the other day, has been coming through quite a bit, repeating eights, 88, 888, and it's just so funny because I've been studying the last few days some more mythos on constellations and a bit of astronomy, etc. And I was asking, because I was listening to different videos and it was helpful, but I feel like I need something else. And then I was guided to look over my friend where I'm staying has a bookshelf, and like this book just caught my eye. I've looked at her bookshelf so many times, I've never seen this book before. And it was like glittering, and I looked, and it's literally what I'm looking for. It's Night Watch, A Practical Guide to Viewing the Universe, and it's by Terrence Dickinson. Yeah, I don't know why I'm reading all this information, but you know, it's about like the stars and galaxies and astronomy information and constellations, mythology, all these different things. And so funny because this book has, I don't know, let me even look, 176 pages, and I just happened, so I've been seeing the Pleiadian, I actually wrote this down, I wrote down Pleiades, doves have been coming up a lot, the dove grid could be significant, freedom codes, and then 144. I wrote that down maybe yesterday because I've been seeing so much and feeling and hearing and seeing so much Pleiadian just essence coming through. And of all the things that I opened to when I opened the book, I just like literally just opened it and it opened right to the Pleiades information. So yeah. I'm just seeing if it feels relevant to read anything from this book. Okay, so it says the Pleiades, and it talks about how just under 400 light years away is the most prominent star cluster in the sky. The Pleiades, a group that is often mistaken for the Little Dipper, which it's funny because the next heading after the Pleiades on this page is the Big Dipper cluster, which I was just researching the Little Dipper and Big Dipper, and how, you may already know this, I did not know this, that with a little bit of math and knowing how to find certain positions between the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, you can like utilize it as a time clock to tell time, which I found so interesting. I did not know that. Okay. The most prominent star cluster in the sky, the Pleiades, a group that is often mistaken for the Little Dipper because of the arrangement of its 6 brightest stars. The Pleiades are sometimes called the Seven Sisters, a reference to the 7 stars visible to people with slightly better than average eyesight. I also didn't know that either. I have a tough time seeing more than 6 stars with the unaided eye. This is the author, not me, by the way. Even under excellent conditions, although some of my astronomy students have reported seeing as many as 11. And it's so cool because I just had a flash of memory. I went to New Mexico within the last few years, and one of the coolest things that I found was, you know, and if you've been to New Mexico or you're from there, maybe you experience this too. Oh, I just heard like a bang. Oh, I wonder what that's about. Okay. Yeah, I was looking up at the sky and I could see like the, like some of the more nebulous.
So how was that then? Hopefully you're feeling super relaxed.
Oh, I thought I paused. I did not. So, okay, this is so synchronistic. I did thought I paused, and I switched the music again. And it's 17 minutes on my timer right now. And for me personally, like, when I first started sort of opening up to different collectives, etc., oftentimes I would have a certain number or sign, something that would associate my communication with whatever was, you know, connecting with me. And 17 is my number for the Pleiades. So it's really funny. Okay. Let's see. That could be like a little side message for someone. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of seeing when someone like leaves an accidental voicemail and they're saying something maybe they don't realize that someone can hear, you know, like just maybe like watch your electronics. That's not for everyone, but maybe a few people, or maybe that just happened to you. Yeah, something about like thinking you paused something or thinking you hung up or something like that. Okay, more about the Pleiades. Oh, I was talking about New Mexico. So yeah. I remember looking up into the sky and like being able to actually see. I think I had my my stargazing app, and I was looking first to see, and then I could see like the cluster of the Pleiades, and then I used my app to confirm, and it was so cool to be able to see that with like your naked eye, you know. Okay. Several dozen Pleiades stars can be detected in binoculars and 100 or more by telescope. The approximately 400 stars in this cluster were all born about 20 million years ago, which makes them baby stars compared with the 4.7 billion year age of the sun. Yeah, and it's so funny that I was drawn to talk about these 2 suns according to some of the like kinetic science perspective, because I don't know, there's something, oh my god, what was that movie? When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Escape to Witch Mountain. I don't know if anyone here remembers that movie, but and it was like the binary stars were the 2 suns were like the glyph that these 2 kids that had like, you know, telekinesis and ESP abilities that other kids did not have around them. Anyway, so I was thinking about that and how much I was like just obsessed with that. So maybe you were too. But anyway, approximately, we're talking about the age. So yeah, how interesting. Our sun, according to this, 4.7 billion years. I've been looking into some of like the indigenous cycles and how like in certain traditions, like the way that they can view time and cycles from such large magnitudes and scales can be like obviously a little bit maybe different than how in the West we perceive time on like a daily basis. It's like they consider generally from some of their calendars to be these larger cycles, even in their day-to-day. So yeah, it got me thinking about some of these things. And let's see. Okay. Alcyone, the brightest of the Pleiades stars, is 500 times brighter than our sun. It shines with intense blue-white light, as do all the youthful stars in this cluster. The cluster is roughly 50 light years in diameter. And it goes on to talk about the stars average 2 light years apart, about 50 times the stellar destiny in our vicinity. Stellar destiny. Yeah, there's some more like factual information according to this book. Excuse me. In his classic Celestial Handbook, the late astronomer and historian Robert Burnham notes a connection between the Pleiades and Devil's Tower, the wonderfully impressive rock formation that rises like a colossal petrified tree stump 264 meters above the plains of northeastern Wyoming. According to the Kiowa lore, Devil's Tower was created by the Great Spirit to protect 7 Indian maidens who were being pursued by giant bears. The maidens were afterward placed in the sky as the Pleiades clusters, and the marks of the bears' claws can still be seen in the vertical striations on the sides of Devil's Tower. When I'm reading this, I was getting so hot, by the way, my body, and like it felt like I was being like, my left arm like felt like it was being like clawed a little bit. And it's super weird because this cat clawed me today and I have these like little marks. Yeah. There's a lot also when I'm recording this of just night sky activity, I guess you can say. And some, I want to say the word confusion, with like some of these SpaceX satellites that are being launched and people are thinking they're seeing UFOs, and then some people are like, oh, maybe that's just a cover-up. Like there's just so much confusion right now, and sometimes when we're trying to like understand and figure things out, it can feel, at least in my perspective, just a little bit like, I don't know, I feel like I just need to take a step back because, and people know that I love this stuff, so I have people like sending me things, which is so exciting. I love that, but sometimes it's just kind of like, yeah, it can take time for me specifically anyway, maybe for you too, to like trust where I'm being led to research and, my own inner intuitive knowing. And I think sometimes I will like try to rush the process, or at least I used to do that more often, or be a little bit frustrated if I didn't know how I felt about something right away. And I think one of the experiences I'm having lately is like really learning, speaking of time and cycles, to like trust my own timing. Like if someone asks me how I feel or think about something and I don't quite know, like I'm so much more okay with that than I used to be. I'm not sure why that was a side little message, but certainly the Pleiades star cluster has prompted inquiring gazes for many centuries. Chinese records influence references to the celestial group as far back as 2357 BC. However, if we could somehow be transported back in time to the age of dinosaurs, the sky would not be adorned by the Pleiades. They would not be born for another 50 million years. That's something to think about, especially in like linear time terms. Dinosaurs have been coming up also quite a bit. I've been having some dreams over the last year or so about dinosaurs. Maybe you have too. Or some astral experiences. And I know the Pleiades is one of like the most, well, I feel like talked about or maybe one of the most relatable constellations. And yeah, so I was almost a little bit honestly reluctant to talk about it because there's so many people talking about the Pleiades. I didn't think it was necessary, but when I keep getting repeating messages or signs or dream experiences, I tend to, at least these days, try to acknowledge that and see what's there. Let's see. The Pleiades, the brightest star cluster visible from Earth, is obvious to the naked eye in the late autumn and winter. The nebula that entwines the cluster, so prominent in long exposure photographs like this. This is like next to one of the photographs. So funny, actually. Anyway, is only faintly visible by telescope under dark skies. And I just realized that as the book I have open, it's a photo of the Pleiades cluster, I suppose. And you can see some of like the ultraviolet light coming through. And I looked over, and whatever subliminal I picked for the next one is literally almost the same background. Like, it's a night sky with like ultraviolet light and like really bright stars and nebula woven through. And I actually made a reel on Instagram the other day, and I used a background that was sort of like this. I just remembered this, and it was really out of my comfort zone because I usually like things very simple and clean looking, and this was like very obnoxious, but I was really guided to use it, so I did. So this background of just seems to be popping up everywhere. Okay, I want to see something else. I just opened to a page talking about total solar eclipses, partial solar eclipses, and lunar eclipses, and in front of each phrase says future. So future eclipses. So someone here can be starting to feel, depending when you find this, there could be something related to eclipse season, like when we go through those multiple eclipses. Yeah, it sort of feels like a ripple of whenever you find this, whatever the last eclipse season was for you. There's like things rippling in from that, you're starting to see some sort of effect. And I'm getting, my crown is tingling like so intensely. I don't know, it feels like some sort of halfway point that from the next future eclipses coming forth. So it doesn't have to be like in linear time necessarily halfway point, although for some of you it might be. In fact, the next total lunar eclipse from when I'm recording this is March 2025, and we just entered January. So interesting. Yeah, there's something about like a halfway point. I don't know why I keep hearing that, but again, it doesn't feel like linear time. Maybe there's like halfway through an intention or a project or something like this. Okay, let's see. I opened to an Andromeda Aries Triangulum and Cetus Pisces. So I did do a recording, a transmission about Andromeda. So if you're interested in anything there, you can go take a look. But I just wanted to see anything here. Coming back down to earth for a moment, I paused just to see if there was a different direction that was coming in, and I was reminded the other day I just saw someone who I haven't seen in a while, and he experiences sometimes when he takes certain substances, these like leg muscle tremors, and I was just feeling like his energy around, although, like I said, I saw him for the first time in a while, but then I was outside walking dogs, and I was in front of, it was either a coconut tree or a mango tree. So coconuts, mangoes, but I did actually just listen to someone talking about mangoes. And when I looked it up, it was very, in spiritual context, a mango symbolizes prosperity, fertility, love, and enlightenment. Often considered a food of the gods, which, by the way, the phrase of the gods, gift of the gods, fruit of the gods, food of the gods, like that phrase has been like haunting me the last, I would say, week or two. So perhaps that's something. I'm hearing the word destiny again. So yeah. Okay. In many cultures, particularly in India, where it is seen as the king of fruits, with its golden color representing wealth and its sweet flesh signifying love and abundance, in Buddhism, the mango is associated with the Buddha's realization of impermanence, signifying potential for enlightenment when a monk offered him a ripe mango. I mean, like, I think it's my mom who thinks mangoes taste like perfume. And apparently there's like a genetic thing or some sort of expression in, you know how like with cilantro, some people think it tastes like soap or something. Well, there's something I think with mangoes, and my mom like hates mangoes. Like she thinks they taste terrible, and like a ripe mango is like one of the best things ever. So I don't know why I'm sharing this, but it's coming up. Yeah, so it can represent fertility and abundance, love and marriage, prosperity and wealth, spiritual enlightenment. Yeah, so one of the key words that kept coming up for me when I was experiencing this moment where, I was under this tree, and it was like I just stopped in my tracks, and I could feel my leg, the back of my thigh leg tremor. And now I wasn't on any substances, like it was only one time, and then it happened again like 2 days later, like one. Same thing when I was thinking or feeling energy from this person. So energetic transference can be happening really strongly for you right now. And when I sort of like tuned in deeper, it was almost like I was having this like dialogue or conversation. And I know I may sound however I may sound. So either this is something you experience yourself and you're going to understand, or if not, then maybe you will in the future, or maybe this part maybe just might not like fit with you, and that's totally okay. But yeah, so I was really just like feeling this whole thing come in about like accepting. There's an oracle card from some deck, I honestly don't remember which one, but it's something like accept your situation and it will transform in front of your eyes. So there's something about this idea of acceptance and like accepting someone for who they are, you know, with this keeps coming up too, like the idea of like the perfected human. And in some of these circles, I hear people, you know, especially in some of the chelantic science perspectives about like the perfected human. Now, whether or not that can mean so many things, you know, at least where I'm tuning into in our current space-time, and there's something for me that keeps coming up about like accepting it's sort of like a lot of these templates when I tune into like the idea of divine union or hierogamic union, or the idea of like coming back to oneself, you know, reunification with the self, wholeness. Of course, that includes all of these fragmented aspects. And so, yeah, whatever this phase of, I don't know, evolution, if you want to call it, that was coming forth through this feeling was about the acceptance of all parts of, you know, the self of whoever you may be connecting with, you know, and that deep surrender and trust and again, like acceptance was just coming through. So I just wanted to share that because I felt it so strongly, and I wrote down a few little things that kept repeating, like sirens and ambulances, repeating 7s, 9s, and 4s, sirens like the mer beings, and I think it was that day I was looking in the clouds, and sometimes I'll cloud scry, even if I'm not intending to, I'll just see things. I did, though, set a foundation for that. Like, I used to intentionally practice cloud scrying for a long time. So now it's like I don't really, it just sort of happens naturally. I don't have to, like, set the foundation as much anymore because it's already been set. That was just a little side message. Maybe someone who's been practicing that, or it doesn't just have to be cloud scrying, but any sort of, like, divination experience. I just wanted to add that in. But, so I looked up and I saw a heart. It was almost like a perfectly shaped heart, not a heart in the chest, but, like a shape heart shape. And it was like so symmetrical and just beautiful. And then not long after that, I saw a kite with a string. And there was like a masculine and feminine figure, like dancing. I know it's a cloud, so it's hard to say dancing, but it looked like they were dancing as the cloud was moving. And it was like a very tantric-like experience. Like it felt, but also so lighthearted and free. So, yeah. And then I kept seeing dolphins. So any of these things could fit. I already mentioned doves, and my chest is getting so hot. A song came in my head, Turn the Lights Down Low, from, I forget who sings the song. Turn the Lights Down Low. That song kept coming through. And then when I was trying to Google who sang it, it was taking me to a different song that I'd never heard before. But I know I don't really believe in coincidences anymore. I think the guy's name was Josh Turner. And I think the song was called Turn the Lights Down. So yeah, feel free to look up any of these songs if you feel called to them, or maybe you already know them. Oh, Josh Turner, I wrote it down, Your Man. That song literally kept coming up on every time I tried to search, and I was like, what? This is not what I'm trying to look up. Like, what is happening? Like I said, I'd never heard of Josh Turner. So that could be for someone. Okay. And then scepters, rainbows, and chests also kept coming through in different ways. So, whether we're taking these as like signs, as people just continue to see synchronistic signs, if you want to go deeper into like the rainbow, like the rainbow body or the Kunda ray, plasmic rainbow currents have been coming through. And, the meaning, we could Google all day, like the meaning of the scepter, but I'm being taken to like the Emperor card in tarot, and channeling through like, the idea of the scepter. And when you hold a scepter in your hand, the hands are an extension of the heart. So there's something about like channeling in these unconditional love templates and anchoring them in through these rainbow plasmic currents, or the Kunda ray current. For those of us who feel tuned into some of these higher ascension mechanics, I'm just trying to I talk about them a lot more in the Patreon overflow, but I've been feeling guided to weave them a little bit more into the YouTube transmissions as well. So that is what I am doing. Mars, I've been noticing so much in the night sky when I take walks at night. The planet of Mars is so visible right now. So working with the Mars archetype could be relevant. Fire energy. I know there's a lot, speaking of confusion and illusion, around the planet of Mars right now. So yeah, there's something about that, like affecting or potentially affecting the way that you see your own inner archetype of Mars. I had this like dream of maybe around 2019 where I may have shared this before, I don't remember, but I was in the water on a boat, and I know I wasn't alone. I was with a few people, and we were looking for something, and we came to almost like where, you know, a waterfall, if you are on top of a waterfall and you see like the drop off, it was like that. And we said, oh, we found Mars in the dream. And then I like woke up, so I never went over the actual drop off. It was like in sight. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's coming through at this moment, but finding your Mars. I remember someone said that to me, and I also may have shared this before at some point, and you know, maybe utilizing astrology or different archetypal studies to help like break down what Mars means to you. But it is coming through, you know, Mars is generally portrayed as like a masculine energy. So the color red, like there's just something about really tuning into like primal instincts, like the dinosaur has been coming up a lot, or the constellation Draco. Like there's just something about like this, like inner gut instinct, like instinctual energy coming through that's been pretty prominent the last few weeks. Let me just see if I had anything else written down. Yeah, I've been rewatching The Good Place, which if you've listened to any of my other transmissions, I may have mentioned this. And one of the episodes like just really caught my attention. Sometimes I, you know, use movies, music, pop culture references, just anything to help explain the energy I'm feeling or analogies. And in one of the episodes, I don't want to spoil it in case no one's seen it and you're curious, but Kristen Bell's character, they're in the afterlife, and the person that she finally winds up with, Chidi Anagonye, who's a philosopher, they're trying to like recreate an experiment in the afterlife to help balance out the point system in humanity, because it's all like off balance, which I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. And anyway, in order for this to work, they basically need to erase Chidi's memories, the guy, so that he can, you know, come forth with the experiment in the way that's going to serve everyone the best. So he's like willing to take this sacrifice, but they had just gotten, you know, into a really good place in their romantic relationship, and she was like, oh, like I finally get this, and now like I get it, like I love you for doing this, but whatever. And he says something like, you know, what does he say? He says something like, we found each other before, like what is time anyway? Like this is just a blip, you know? And it reminds me of how they say in some of these feminine and masculine dynamics of, you know, this is getting a little bit into like the idea of missions and higher purpose and love and things like this, but they say like the masculine forgets more and is more anchored in the 3D, you know, like that, again, that like red root energy, and then like the feminine archetype or polarity is more like taking the lead in like the more spiritual or higher chakra or higher energetic imprints, and it just reminded me of that dynamic so much. And like she, you know, part of her, I don't know, challenge was she had to watch him not remember her, you know, like they were still around each other and show up like, you know, like everything's great and dandy when like the word dandy, I don't know why I said that, I don't usually use that word, but and watch him like date someone else or have these experiences and, you know, pretend like they don't know each other anyway. So I don't know why this just reminded me of this dynamic of like, and it doesn't have to be romantic, of course, but just in ways of like walking through the world of having maybe some of these memories coming back, you know, from other realms of existence, other times on the planet, and maybe walking around people, you know, whether it's a union type of energy or just in general, family, friends, coworkers, whatever. Just having that sort of dynamic. So I just wanted to bring that up because it was sitting in my energy so strongly when I tuned into the collective that I feel connected to. Oh, interesting. Glow. The word glow has also been coming up so much, and I just opened to a page, Nebula Filters. The glow from cities, shopping centers, and streetlights dims the natural beauty of the night sky. A nebula filter attached to the telescope's eyepiece blocks much of the interfering glow, producing better contrast in views of nebulas. And I've been talking so much about the nebula network, a phrase that has come through for me. So interesting, talking about a nebula filter on a telescope. Yeah, so symbolically, I mean, just the idea of what I was talking about when I opened to, you know, this page. Just feeling like your glow. Maybe some of you here are going through an internal, this has been coming through a lot lately also, like focusing on glow up. And I just realized there's 12:12 on my timer, my voice recording label. Anyway, well, thank you so much. I'm going to call it here, and I'm most likely going to do an overflow Patreon, diving into the idea of the two suns and some of the like cosmic influences that it speaks on. So if that interests you, you can find that on the Patreon link that will be below. And like I said, since I'm not sure when I'll be recording again, if you find this in like current time, around like February 2025, I would still love to hear from you. So feel free to like comment on different videos or, thank you so much.